So we are now looking at a V3 gearbox. I believe it was APS shell. However, I tested my product on a Sima shell too. And what's going on here is I have custom trigger mechanism which uses a microswitch. So there is no standard, mechanical switch like this, but there is a microswitch installed. And how it's done is basically you change the OEM mechanism with my custom made housing and slider. Here is a hole for a microswitch to be installed, and you got yourself the microswitch trigger. You might ask yourself, why would you do this? So my reasoning behind this is I want to run 11.1 LiPo batteries, which are known for destroying these type of triggers without a MOSFET. Also, I wanted to have a clicky trigger, and basically to get these two features you have to buy yourself a MOSFET, and not the cheap one. You can have a cheap one MOSFET if you want to use LiPos batteries, but you are not getting the clicky trigger. Or you can also buy yourself a different gearbox shell. For example, shooter one have microswitch trigger, but then we are getting into some expensive solution than mine is, because what you need for this is a microswitch, which costs about $1, 2 M3 screws or pins, again whatever suits you, and a bit of a plastic. Also, if you want to play with the length of the part I call slider, which is this part, you can get a much shorter trigger pull. I'm okay with this one, so I didn't test it. Different versions. Anyway, here you can see the wiring, which in my opinion is a bit cleaner than on the OEM trigger box. Also, you have to use short selector plate, or just remove some material around here, which is exactly what I did. Also, I found out the different shells as always have different dimensions. So for example, on the APS shell I had to remove some material from this part because it was much thicker than on a Sima shell. And that's not all. Also, the disconnector levers are a bit different. Some of them I'm not gonna take this shell apart, but the actual disconnecting end of the disconnector might have different shape on different OEMs. For example, the APS one and the Sima one disconnector. Yes, I'm using Sima disconnector because I made the part for the Sima disconnector. Have different thickness on the end of the disconnector, so that's affecting the slider part. So even though this system is working, different shells and different disconnector might need some minor changes, some sanding and stuff. I'm gonna include a step file so you can edit the part for yourself, and also the Sima version and the basic APS in this case version of the slider, but just keep this in mind. Now let's take a look how it works. So full auto, no problem. Semi, no problem. There seems to be some problem with my unit. Yeah, you could hear it at the beginning of the shooting, because again I'm using prototype versions as always, and the trigger unit was made originally for the Sima shell. Now it's an APS shell, so it's not always as smooth as it should be. However, it got synchronized, I guess. So Semi, no problem. Also, don't mind the horrendous sound. The bearings here are just horrendous. They have so much play in them. It should be illegal anyway. Works fine. Or maybe the problem at the beginning was because the spring here is not strong enough, so the disconnector can be jumping around just from the general movement in the gearbox. Anyway, now you can see no problem, and you get yourself clicky trigger, and you can run 11.1 lipos. So that's that. Thank you for watching.